superintendent so that I could help students learn and to help teachers teach.
What schooling did you have to go through to become a superintendent?
So I had my personal schooling. I got an Associate of Arts degree from Hesston College in Kansas. Then I got a 4-year degree from Faith Baptist Bible College, and that was my teaching degree. Then I went back to school after teaching for about 10 years and got my principal licensure through Viterbo University, and then went back to school 2 more years at Drake University to be a superintendent.
Would you say that was hard, or like harder than most classes?
I don't know about hard in the sense that like the work wasn't like difficult, but like much of education, just there was a lot of detail and a lot of, I would even say, at some level, hoops to jump through in order to achieve the degree.
Who is a role model, like, or being a teacher? Like, who did you look up to?
I had a lot of role models, but probably 2 of the people that influenced me the most would have been my 2 bosses, Mr. McWilliams and Mrs. Van Newser. I learned much from the 2 of them. They had very different ways of being an administrator or being a boss, but seeing both of their perspectives and how they led were very helpful.
How long would you say it took you to like become a superintendent? Of all the years and experience.
So I was in the classroom for 12 years, and then I was a principal for 3 years, and now I've been a superintendent. This is my 6th year. So, but all of the experiences in teaching and being a principal, I think all played into my career as a superintendent.
So who was the superintendent before you?
Mr. McWilliams, and he had been with Grandview since like 1975, but he'd been the superintendent from 2001 to 2019.
Wow. What were some of your favorite qualities about him?
My favorite what?
Qualities about him.
He's a very humble leader and very people oriented. So the way that he led, he would always say, people over programs. And I've tried to remember that even in the way that I lead. The people are the ones that make the difference, not necessarily the education program. So the teachers that we put in our classrooms and the teachers that are teaching our students are the key differentiating factor. So that's what we try and major on, is having the right people in the right places.
What is your favorite part about being a superintendent?
One of my favorite things about it is when we have graduates come back and they talk about the difference that the school has made for them. And that's not necessarily like saying, it's not necessarily students that I've had, but even students graduates before I started at Grandview will often tell me about the great experiences that they had at Grandview and the difference that it's made in their life, not just academically, certainly academically, but also just spiritually and their ability to lead themselves. So,
what would you say is the hardest or like your least favorite part about being a superintendent?
So I tell people being a superintendent is I'm 2 degrees away from why I went into education in the first place. I went into education because I was passionate about teaching kids and helping be a role model and mentor for kids. And really what I'm doing anymore is I'm doing the back work so that teachers can be successful in working with educating and mentoring kids.
If you weren't a superintendent, what would you be? Like, including all the schooling that you might need for it?
So when I was a kid, what I wanted to be was a police officer. So I could see myself doing something even with education and law enforcement. Probably the dream job would be to be like a general manager for a Major League Baseball team. That's what I always wanted to do was run a baseball team, if you will.
If you were running a baseball team, what team would you want it to be?
Well, that's the easiest question you've asked. The Minnesota Twins, of course.
What was your favorite part about, or like along your journey to becoming a superintendent?
My favorite thing about it
Yeah.
was all of the people that I got to meet, the people that I got to go to school with. So when I went to Viterbo and Drake, about half of the people that were in the class were from Des Moines Public School. They were teaching or they were administrators in Des Moines Public School. And then there were people from small towns in Iowa. There were a few people that were involved in other private schools, so whether that be Dowling Catholic. The superintendent there was a classmate of mine, so really had great opportunities to meet people and to network with people.
Well, that's all I have for you, but thank you.
Yep, good job.